Hello everybody, it's AJ from ToPo here, bringing you episode 2 of Kamen Rider Revice. And, man, I know we're only 2 episodes in, but, jeez, what a change of pace this show is. It is so fast, so fun. And again, we're only 2 episodes in, but it's such a change of pace from Saber that I can't help but love it. So starting off, we start off in the Phoenix headquarters, where the guy who tried to be Revice the first time in episode 1 and failed is basically getting fired. And if you notice in the opening, which we have an opening now, which is interesting, if you notice in the opening, he's there, or at least I assume that's him, being crazy. So he may be the villainous writer of the show, which is interesting because while we did technically have villain writers, it's been a while since we've had a full-on villain writer where, you know, he is still technically a Kamen Rider. I guess if you want to really count Solomon and Storius, I don't, because they were so shit anyways, but it's interesting to see where that's going to go. We also then see that essentially Ikki is going to be recruited into Phoenix. And, of course, doing it as you know how, signing a contract. This show has a lot of things about that, just signing a contract with such things. The main plot of the episode doesn't really exactly matter, as it's more about how Ikki is still coming to terms that he is now Revice. Though I will say, we don't exactly have a good, I guess, explanation why Ikki is the only one who can use Revice. I guess really it's just because he can talk to Vice, which makes sense. I guess that's enough of a reasoning. But it's cool to see that he is still kind of getting the hang of it. But as we see here, he has not gotten the hang of Vice. Because as they're fighting one of the monsters of the week, which, by the way, it's kind of interesting that we get we basically get 2 upgrades this episode, which is, I believe, the Gaim one and the Decade one. The one that he actually uses is the double one. It's weird, but I kind of like it, so we don't have to waste all that time, you know, setting shit up like that. So it's cool. So as they're fighting and they're beating stuff, Ikki realizes that Vice is, well, he's a demon, so he wants to eat people, and he has to basically come to terms with having to basically control Vice, which, as we see in the episode, he slowly but surely gets to. And I really do like that dynamic where Vice is, he's fun-loving, and he doesn't really want to hurt Ikki, and he kind of also sees Ikki as his friend, but Ikki sees Vice as, well, you're a demon trying to eat people, you're a bad dude, and I don't want you to do that. Which really does give a nice dynamic, and if anything, kind of gives Ikki more of a reason to be so reluctant to be a hero. Because every time he transforms, Vice wants to eat somebody. That, and he really just wants to protect the bathhouse for his family. You can tell that he does want to help everyone, but he's kind of reluctant. And I do hope that we get a little bit into that to see why he's so reluctant to really branch out. But for the most part, it is still really good to see the building blocks of that. I really like that. But as the episode goes on, we see the dead men causing havoc, which, by the way, I should just say now that I kind of got incorrect. The large vagina-looking thing is not named Aguilera. That's actually the girl. The big thing, the big weird thing, I think that's just named Gifu, or Gifu. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those two. But yeah, the girl is named Aguilera. I got that horribly mixed up in the last one, so apologies for that one. But whatever, so they're still causing trouble. And Ikki does one of the most ballsiest fucking things in the world, where he basically lets himself get beaten the shit out of to control Vice. He basically tells Vice, look, you're going to promise me that you don't kill anybody, or I'm going to die and I'm going to drag you down with me. Which is something that they do kind of hint at in the opening. Because there's a point in the opening where you do see Ikki and Vice kind of switch places from the living realm to hell. And it's really interesting because it actually makes me think that they might actually play with those expectations, which makes me think there will be a death, or at least a sort of cop-out sort of death in this show. Not sure, and I'm not really here to speculate too much because that's just a little too much to go off of from just a single frame of the opening, but it's something to think about. So basically he uses Vice's essentially in this world, demons are not allowed to lie. or they can't lie, essentially. So he basically gets Vice in a corner and says, you know what, if you're really going to help me here, I'll transform as long as you promise me not to kill anybody. And essentially they also form some sort of contract saying, all right, I'll transform, I'll help, but I will never ever attack anyone ever again. Which again is really cool. Also, just on the character of Vice, he is fantastic in this episode. He is so much fun. He brings this weird energy that I think helps balance out Iki's kind of soft-spoken, low-energy character. Iki's not really one of the more bombastic main riders that we've had. He's very downplayed. And it's a good thing right next to Vice, who's very energetic, and he is bombastic. He's very theatrical. He's very jokey. In fact, I mean, hell, there's an entire scene where he literally just rips off Fist of the North Star, which is fantastic. And I really like their dynamic so far. It's interesting because they're not so much friends. They're more antagonistic co-workers. I don't even say antagonistic, more so an uneasy alliance, which obviously we can already see the building blocks for them to be friends as it goes along, and I am very interested to see where that goes. And honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how they become friends as the episodes go on, especially since next episode's going to be pretty interesting, but we'll get to that. But overall, the entire episode is pretty interesting. Again, the main plot of the episode itself, which is just Monster of the Week stuff, doesn't really play too much into it. But the overall messages of the episode and the overall character building is what really gets it. And I think that's why I'm so excited to see where they go with it. Because it feels more like, and I know it's, again, you're going to have to squint your eyes to see it, but it feels more like an O's situation where the characters are what you're here for, not the main overarching plot. But, you know, that's literally second episode impressions. We have no idea where we're going from this. So it's going to be interesting. Overall, I think it's a great episode. It was a fun time. It flew by really fast. In fact, I saw this twice. I saw this yesterday with the guys in the podcast with the Raw. That means no subs. And I saw the subs today. And both times, it felt like it went by super fast. Like, I didn't even realize how fast it went. And it was great. Great time. Great fun. So far, Revice, great fucking show. So that's everything I got to say to you guys today. If you like what you heard here, liked all the information you got here, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to see more, please click on all these annotations because they're all fantastic. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.